Alright, welcome back to part 2 now of the episode number 4 of the Let's Talk Things Over series. We are currently going over all the STFs, just one after another. So we already covered the ISE, CSE, and Khitomer Space Elite. This time now we want to look at the Hive Space Elite. For that I brought up one of my kind of recent recordings of a run of that. I am on my Defiant with Cannon Scatter Volley, and when you move into this mission, you have a 1 minute takedown. Nothing too special there, so I decided to just skip ahead of that. Usually, the strategy is either go left, so you move into the left cube here and try to pull him out and just kill these ones, usually like the left one and the front one, kind of first, not taking too much damage. Recently, it has been almost the standard, I should say, to just do top down, which means you fly up high, make circles up here like those birds, um, above some, well, whatever. Let's not get into things we don't actually want to look into. So we fly basically circles up top here and just AoE everything down below. There aren't any non-valid targets, like nothing is being healed. Therefore, we just have to put out an astounding amount of damage to not die. If we don't have enough damage, we might die, but that's kind of okay. As you can see here, we have Porch on his beautiful side tune. And the last thing he did not do too well, but that's okay. Um, so we now move top down, basically move into this, use all our buffs, get into range, and start shooting whatever we can get into range. Problem with cannons is you have to be kind of close to actually do good damage. That's why we fly so close to it. That is also not really good because the beam-fired world cruisers, they keep moving, so they circle around there. They have high defense values. They can stay up top high because they can shoot straight down, but the cannons actually have to point towards your enemy, so we cannot. That's why we are moving kind of close in here. The Romulan cloak now going down, so we don't actually die here. The reputation cloak not cloak, but the shield of which reputation is that on? I think it's the counter command one, whatever it's called, like 8472, to heal our shields back up. So we then just continue shooting everything we have. This mission basically is a race of whether you kill them first or they kill you, especially if you run strange layouts like not 5 scimitars or scimitars and recluses. You shouldn't really bring cannons, but just for the fun of it, I did. As you can see here, we did pretty good spike damage, but that is kind of difficult to maintain. So we just keep shooting here until everything is actually dead. First, support weapons, distributing shields, tag team to really support our front log. Then we just wait until everything is dead or we die. So this part is not exactly super difficult to explain because there's no real strategy involved. It's just you have to use your abilities properly. You have to basically kill them. At this point, you could go with a tank if you wanted to. We just died, so I'm repairing the ship. To die is actually quite okay. I mean, I don't suggest you do it. But sometimes in this game it cannot be helped because for some reason people think that difficulty means they have to use a torpedo spread that kills you. Like there's no way to predict that, there's no real method to this, it's just randomly happening basically. That's why the warp shadows are so good, because they actually taunt the enemy, make them basically take the torpedo spread. Only problem is, if you are too close to them, the torpedo spread will always hit 3 targets maximum within a certain range, so you will still get hit. So if you have now killed all the cubes, you get this cutscene, which you really should cancel with your escape key, warping in those 2 things that are called vessel 1 of 2 Unimatrix something. And you kind of move close and kill them. Now, they have certain abilities, but if you have enough damage, you will never see them. This is a very delayed second cutscene, which everyone was talking about on the TeamSpeak because we didn't see that in ages. Just cancel it with all the cutscenes and missions. Just use this good time because the thing doesn't actually fight back right now. It has this activation timer on it. So this one is dead already, the other one is dead as well, and then the Ball Queen becomes active. If you couldn't do it this quickly, you would have to stay within 5k of the Queen to not get killed by that lance thing, whatever. And it has a feedback pulse that will come up very soon. Try not to kill yourself on that because your optional is to not kill more than 3 players, or 2. I think you have to keep 3 alive. And if they just kill themselves, you will lose your optional, and with the upcoming change, you will also lose the mission for this. We did this on our first attempt because the things lived for so long, we weren't really expecting how strong the feedback pulse was. Just really watch out for that. So then comes the only real enemy in this game that has a real ability. It is this thing that's called the Ball Queen. It has the feedback pulse up right now, that's why I'm just flying away, not shooting it. And if you shoot it, it has a asset on a simulator built into itself. So if you stay within 5k and shoot it, it will emit a damaging wave of destruction that will usually one-shot you. So stay out of 5k and don't kill yourself on the feedback. It will also use torpedo spread. That's why you don't want to sit on the front lark or use warp shadows. If you had a Psi, you could make him nuke it now. It should come up every moment now. It just went on. It has a 15-second total duration, and we are at 14, so we expect it to come in any time now, if it has not already been used. And also keep in mind that if you would have still your Romulan reputation cloak, feedback pulse cannot hit cloaked enemies, like things you can't see, you can't reflect to for some reason. So if you had that, you could use it, and the feedback pulse wouldn't hit you. You could just keep shooting for those 5 seconds that you're cloaked, but keep in mind that it takes 3 seconds for the cloak to actually kick in. So there's the nuke coming down now at the 11-second mark. Took 4 seconds to nuke it. That's okay. If you would have a team that actually tries hard to do this quickly, you could just use the Romulan cloak and basically continue shooting this amount of time. So we now get Titan's Rifted, which is very, very rarely only to be seen. Like, I haven't seen that in a very long time. Okay, so then we keep shooting it and always look at the range, try to sit over 5k, then we should be good, and that's it. 5 space done. Took us a little over 3 minutes, but that's okay. We died, we didn't have a real try-hard team, so that's okay. As I said, the real things to look out for are the top-down or left strategy thing. And this video did not load. That is not cool. Well, it doesn't really matter too much. This is just an the old HSE speed record run, which once again was 10 months ago, so not really valid anymore, but just for the general thing of what it would look like. This one is now a left run, so we fly onto the left instead of the top down, and we just AoE everything with our fire at will here. We run actually 5 scimitars. It's not necessarily the best strategy to this. The sound actually muted? I definitely hope so. As I said, this is just to showcase basically how the other strategy would look like. It's not really that different, to be honest. We have someone here trying to get the GDF off of that cube explosion soon. Okay, we just make sure that we use all our abilities on cooldown and just shoot them for as long as we can. Okay. just takes a little time to actually kill them all. Now sitting close to the cube and trying to get the GDF, which doesn't quite happen. 54%, that's a shame. The other guy killed himself. That's okay as well, that happens. You know, it's better to try to get to the 60k and fail on that and do only 30 than to just say, oh, I need so much survivability that I never will die no matter what. If you do that, that is actually really, really difficult. In this game, if you have to take their shooting for a very long time, you will need a ridiculous amount of survivability. Like, you basically need armor, so you need all your bridge officer abilities to be playing around that. And you don't really need to, you can just out DPS it, and that is not even that difficult. Like, this run is 10 months old. We didn't have great gear or anything back in the day. I'm pretty sure that these are all fleet arrays with accuracy times 2. Now this is a beautiful thing now. As you can see, I'm already out of range, but the torpedo spread will take us out now. Boom, there we go. And you know, that's just a joke, but it's okay. We know it is. The accuracy times 2 arrays are kind of the worst thing you can possibly get, because your beamfire will not benefit from it. So we just have basically deleted 2 of our traits on the weapons, and the other 2 are damage, which is currently lowest on your usefulness table, basically. Now the second beautiful thing happens, like there are invisible walls around this for some reason, so we can actually shoot her. For some reason you have to be somewhere centered to actually do this. Okay, that's it. We killed her once more. Nothing too special about that. But those are the 2 valid strategies. Okay. So what would you look for if you wanted to do a good group for a speed run or just a good damage run? There are really 2 things to look out for. The first is you need to kill enemies within a certain amount of time. The shorter that time, usually the better. If you kill them quicker, you have more percentage-wise uptime of your attack pattern alpha, fleets, GDF, and all that. And then you need to also look into debuffs. Okay, there are 2 components to actually deal damage: your own damage dealing capabilities, like emergency power to weapons should be up, fire will should be up, attack pattern omega could be used, but there's always this discussion whether it's good to use attack pattern omega or attack pattern beta. While attack pattern omega increases your own damage, attack pattern beta decreases the enemy's damage resistance rating. What this means is, if you shoot him with attack pattern beta 3, it says like 49.5% damage resistance rating is being reduced. What that really means is that he will take more damage from your shooting. But that is not 49.5%, it's only a rating on the thing, okay? So ratings do not represent percentages, while you could calculate the percentage out of that if you knew the formula. Now this has all been done, and you would see that if you look at the percentage-wise increase, that if you have more than 150 damage resistance rating debuff, you basically don't gain more damage out of it efficiently. And if you get to a point of like 200 minus rating, then you're basically done with it. Like, you can't really increase it anymore. It just gets obsolete to stack 1 more beta on it. If you have 10 people using Find My Mark on the target, it will still be the same as if it just had minus 200 wherever from. Okay. That is why you want to have someone using attack pattern beta and someone to use attack pattern omega, so your whole team will be more efficient overall. Like, people will argue that the one with attack pattern omega is not a team player, while in fact he is using the expose exploit mechanic, which we know from ground. You know, if everyone was using expose effects only, no one would exploit, and therefore the whole team would be slower. So you need to make sure that you have enough debuffs to actually make your attack patterns Omega useful. But if you have that, going for more is not a good idea, you know? On random runs, it doesn't really matter. Then you can always argue that attack pattern Omega gives you so much more than only increased damage. It also gives you defense, it gives you movement speed, it gives you immunity to tractor beams. So that is just a very useful skill overall. That is why I use it basically no matter what, but I used to use attack pattern Omega back in the day almost all the time, just because I thought we need more of that. We need to increase the damage further, you know. But there's the ship that is called the Recluse Carrier. It comes with pets. You get 4 of them that each use attack pattern beta 3. And the Recluse itself can also slot a Lieutenant Commander Universal, which is the beta 2, I think, and Fire at Will. And therefore, you have already basically all the debuffs you need. And due to the cooldown on those abilities, you usually want to have 2 Recluses at tops to get really all the betas you need. Like if you have more than 2 Recluses, or even add 2, everyone else can basically run a attack pattern Omega. And if you look at this, you have 4 pets and the player himself. That is 5 betas. That is the equivalent in one chip of 5 people running attack pattern beta. And that way you debuff the enemy so much that it's actually worth for everyone else to run attack pattern Omega. And that really increases your whole team's, well, you know, everything basically. You just get it done quicker. Okay, so what would you look for if you wanted to do a quick ISE, for example? You could get 1 or 2 Recluses, and then everything else could be damaged. Right now, that basically means you need Fire at Will because it's just so much stronger. And you, it's laggy for you guys? That is not cool, dude. It shouldn't really be. Okay. Let's hope this kind of helps. Let me know if it keeps on lagging. Okay, so you would use 1 or 2 Recluses and usually Fire at Will. And if you look now into what is the best chip for Fire at Will, you will usually end up with the Scimitar just because it has 8 weapons, 5 tech consoles, and the hangar bay with the elite Romulan drone chips, which are the best DPS ships. If you were the Federation tune and still wanted to keep on playing that guy for some reason, which I could understand, then you would either go for the Narcine, which is currently the top tier ship. Basically, it has also, I think it only has 7 weapons, but it gets 2 hangar bays of pretty damn good pets. They have a very strange name, but they deal good damage, and with 2 hangar bays, they actually deal more than the Romulan drone chips, just because you have so many more of them. They can leave up the enemy's resistance rating, and the ship generally it has a pretty good layout, so that's probably the best ship for Federation side. Outside of that, you could also use the Fleet Assault Cruiser, or all the ones that we have been talking about earlier, the Fleet Battle Cruiser and all of them. I mean, I showed you the video of ISE where the Fleet Assault Cruiser did like 40k. That is more than we need. I mean, if you look at the new Infected Space Advanced, you will need about 15k to do it from each player. Now, I recorded a video of that the other day, which isn't a very good run from myself. I still kind of want to give you a feeling on what it looks like. This is on the Troll test server. And when we warp in, realized that I don't have any bridge officers. Okay, so this is pretty messed up. I'm now just looking for my bridge officers. Let's go back a little here so you'll see what the warping screen looks like. Okay, here we go. You see now that instead of the 2 upper probes spheres, we also have 2 lower spheres now. the cube in the middle, and they all have like 5 times more HP than before. Okay, so I just try to find my guys now, setting everything up. We are pretty damn far behind on damage here, but that's kind of okay. We don't really care too much, so I get a little over enthusiastic now, and I think I even got myself killed here. As you can see now, the lower ones, the generators, they die really freaking quickly. But don't misinterpret that. Like, these spheres all have more HP than a single cube on current live servers, which is also the reason why this upper cube still lives. As you can see here now, I get all the torpedoes from those spheres and the cube, so I have a take of 4 plasma fires on me, and I will die now with all my buffs up, which is quite horrible to happen, but you know, just to show you what it looks like. And then we have these nanite spheres coming in from the middle. As you can see, the stuff, even though we have pretty ridiculous damage, I mean, I had a nice spike, uh, but it still lives. Okay, so it just takes quite forever. They have pretty good HP pools, and also these spheres just take very long to die. And that is really the position in which a cannon build would now benefit in damage, because the AoE potential of cannon rapid fire is just so much higher as you hit 3 targets instead of 2, and they just live long enough to actually benefit from this. So we also have the intelligence fleet going down here quite beautifully. That, however, only increases our damage just a little by giving us more armor penetration, I think, which acts like a beta. Not entirely like that, but close to it. And that is something else I want to talk to you about. I mean, people say not only should you use, everyone should use attack pen and beta, which is just a waste if you have two recluses, for example. They also say you should play disruptors because your whole team will benefit from the debuff. That's just the same thing. Like, the damage reduction or damage resistance reduction will just be the same of a disruptor proc as a beta and fire on my mark and all that. And if you look at this, we have 2 fire on my marks and 2 betas on this target, even though we don't even have a single recluse in here. That is basically all you need. That is just so much that you wouldn't really benefit from having more. And if you would run disruptors and forget about the 20% of anti-protons and all that, you would just generally lose DPS. You might have a better feeling about that you try to benefit the team, but you only increase everyone's damage by a very marginal amount, while everyone could have benefited more. Okay. So as you can see here now, the current life run would already be over. We, however, still have to kill all the spheres here on the triple test. Hazard limit is clear in our plasma fire. We had a 4 stack of the Omega weapon amplification, which is beautiful. Only happens very rarely. We use all our defensive cooldowns, the shield bubbles and all that. Okay, and then we just have to wait until they are dead. And that really takes quite some time. I mean, we didn't have a perfect layout of ships, and the run obviously was quite screwed up. Like, we could definitely do way better than this, but this is just to show you an impression of how difficult it might be if you look at the DPS numbers. Like, we weren't doing a very low DPS run or something. This is quite good, and the optional timer will put you quite under the gun. I'm trying to get on the rear arc here now due to the new mastery things or specialization things, where you get more damage and more crit H to the rear arc of an enemy. So that's why I'm trying to keep up with this rear arc here. We just keep the damage coming. The tech cube has 7.2 million HP, while on the live servers it's not that much. It's like 2 million, I think. The Narcene's pets are called the Zindi Aquatic something frigates. Okay, so that's it. Took us about 5 minutes. We definitely could do it quicker, especially if I wouldn't have to put in all my bridge officers and then would suicide on the first cube. But just to give you a general impression on how much damage will be required. I think the optional timer is like 15 minutes, so yeah, everyone doing 15k DPS should get the job done within the time limitations. Let me get actually finally something to drink now. Okay, so those are the 4 Borg STFs. If you try to build a team, currently I would not really encourage anyone to use a engineer. You don't really need them on any of the missions. I would love if someone changed that. If you need some help on that, if someone of the devs ever sees this, I'm definitely up to give you some hints. On the other hand, if you put in a psi, that could be beneficial. You get the nuke, which is quite good on some missions, on HSE, for example, on the final queen fight, that's quite good. You could also nuke one of the bigger things that use feedback pulse on that mission. But generally speaking, he just brings some abilities to the table that kind of make him worth it, but you don't really need. Oh, excuse me. You kind of don't need more than one of those. So the others probably should be tags, and the ships should be 1 or 2 recluses to get only betas, and everything else now doesn't really matter. One recluse kind of is probably the sweet spot where you don't lose too much damage to make the others do a little more. Like one recluse does quite good debuffing already, and you don't need optimal debuffing all the time. So the others could be like 2 fight will boats and 1 cannon boat. The problem right now is as a cannon boat and a fired will run, you don't have anything to shoot. Like everything dies so quickly that I actually had quite a problem to record a good cannon run for infected, just because the fired will kills everything before you even get into a good angle on them. But that might really change with Delta Rising hitting now. We have to see how that develops. On the new mission, the Borg disconnected, we used cannon rapid fires to take out the big ships one by one. So that might actually change a little. So you can actually use cannons now again, but yeah, I will keep you posted about my thoughts on that in the future. Okay. Do we need to talk about something else? Do we have some questions? As I'm waiting if someone has a question to come up with. This is a run I recorded on my Romulan toon, and they gave away the ship which was called the Rhode Island class, a level 10 science ship, and I did a run with it. As you see, we have only 4 weapons on this, and we also have like 1 tag ensign, 1 ensign engineering, and a few science guys on the ship. So the loadout is not actually optimal. We basically use all cooldowns on the first cube instantly, like we don't even have any. Just fireball whatever we have. This is live server gameplay. And then we evasive over to the left, hitting the nanite generators, using the tech initiative to reduce the cooldown of our fired will, as we only have 1. Tech plan alpha, fleet, everything we have going out. Tractor beam repulsors is being used. So this is just once more the general layout of how you try to do ISE. And we just keep auto firing the things. As you can see now, we are actually a little over 10k using the Romulan cloak now. A little out of range though. Or we get line of sight with this small asteroid. We use the Tatrian lattice and the Romulan, the Nukara reputation ability. Get actually killed on this, but it is kind of okay. I mean, you know, it's a level 10 ship. It's kind of supposed to die quite quickly if we get hit by those torpedoes. So we just respawn, fly over to the right. I mean, dying in this game, it's not as bad as you would think. It really doesn't hurt you if you repair your ship. There's really nothing happening. So don't be too overly afraid of that happening. So we take out these things, just AoE everything in the middle, and put the sand silencers up on the gateway to increase our damage by 30%, which is a good science ability, but you only very rarely actually have enemies that live long enough to make it stack up, you know. It's only usable against like the capital or major enemies of a mission. Okay. So now we once again fly to the center, just AoE everything down, and continue with the cube as the gateway died. We now get our cooldown on sensor analysis and should set it up on the attack cube right now. There we go. And I mean, as you can see on the damage meter, we did 10k DPS in a level 10 boat that has, I'm not sure if it even has attack console, it probably has one. It has 4 weapons, and it's really not about that. If you do 10k DPS or less, that's really what I'm trying to get at. Like, there are so many people in this game, if you do the rankings, that do 3k DPS. That really isn't possible if you look at this. Like, if you just use auto fire and shoot the enemy with arrays or cannons, that doesn't matter really, okay? Then you get more out of it if you follow what we have been talking about in all the earlier episodes so far. Then 10 to 15k shouldn't be difficult, but well, make sure to spread the word so everyone gets his damage going. Okay. Next thing up would be the no win scenario, but we are already at 1.5 hours. So I'm not quite sure if I really want to get started on that one now, as it would take quite an enormous amount of time. We didn't have any questions so far. I am thinking about if I could come up with something I need to explain real quick, or if I have another beautiful short video that I want to show off. Actually, let me know if you want to see me also do something similar about ground at some point. Which one is that? Not sure if this is the right one. So this is my KDF Romulan. He has no gear whatsoever. I invested 200k EC into him, and this is the Kittimer Space Elite. I don't even know how this ends. We're at 12k. I might actually die on this now. No, actually I got the GDF. Okay, good. I used the brace farm pack, flew right under it, so that is the GDF you get from that. Got the torpedo target accolade, showing you that I really never played this tune before. We just use all our buffs now on the right DPS side. Just AoEing those little things on the sides. Let's see how we end up on this run. Didn't really watch this one prior to the stream, so I used the RSP now just because I'm freaking afraid of the cube killing me, which will quite probably happen, to be honest. Like, we don't have a whole healing ability, as the layout is quite screwed up. So let's see what happens. We are, however, still doing around 12k, which is kind of okay. This mission is just usually the lowest on DPS meters. The Cure Space Elite has very high AoE parts, so that's why we decided back in the day to do ISE as our point of reference. 3%, yeah, the plasma fire will get us here. Oh, that's a shame. Any advice on new 50 figuring out what rep grind to do first? So first of all, you have to realize that it only takes you days to do it. Like you have to start the mission, and then you have a certain amount of days to wait. The marks you can get quite easily. You only need to do one mission in any respective mark thing to get the daily bonus on top of it. If you do, for example, the Taladua System Patrol, which takes like 10, 15 minutes or something, um, then you can just get the Romulan marks. You do one STF, you get the Omega marks. That way you just build up your mark pool quite quickly. Yeah, this is actually quite brutal. We're getting raped here. Moving out of the gates range, so we don't take any more torpedoes. So, and once you have done one mission, you get 55 bonus marks on top, so you have actually enough for several days for one reputation. So the next day you can do another one. It's important, however, to note that you don't want to do the hourly ones if you don't play a lot, because they are very, very inefficient on the reputation for each of your marks. Okay, you should get tier 2 on almost all of them kind of quickly. The Omega reputation gives you the kinetic cutting beam and the assimilated console. That is very, very good. The Romulan reputation gives you the Romulan console for 500 marks, which is also very good. Nukara is more used for the space set. Assimilated set could also be very good. It's really difficult to say get this one first, like you need them all anyways, but I personally would always get the Omega marks first, just because they are so easy. Romulan after that, and basically work your way up through that list. Dyson Ground, do that in the Dyson combat zone, the what is it called, the Dyson sphere thing. So we end up with just a little under 10k, which is kind of okay for this mission. With the same ship, I did like 20k on ISE with a better run. So yeah, even a very new ship only having 200k invested into that gets the job done basically. So on this ship, I don't have any reputations. You don't need it. It's just good to have. So yeah, go for tier 2 first, then work your way slowly through it, do the daily things so you get the bonus marks for that, and then if the shuttle event is on, you can do the Starways Fleet Defense, which gives you like 100 something marks every time you do it, and you can pick all the different marks, therefore get all the different daily bonuses one after another. That is quite easy, as you don't really need that many marks to actually get one reputation up. Okay. Okay, as we talked about the Starship ship equipment, if you need to review that, basically you need the assimilated module on all the ships, no matter what you do, which is the Omega Reputation Tier 2 console, and you very often will see the 0-point Romulan Reputation 1 being used. I think those are the most important ones to get first. Okay. So I will see you guys next time with a beautiful round of No One Scenario. That's the name of it. Yeah, and I guess I'll see you soon. So thank you guys very much for watching. If you have any questions, make sure to message me in-game, message me on Twitch, or leave it in the chat. I will try to cover it all. I will now port this to YouTube again. If you didn't see one of the prior ones, make sure to check them out on YouTube. I have a playlist listed there where I cover all these prior episodes of this talk thing. So thanks very much for watching. I hope the new microphone, like this is an episode for the third microphone I'm using, so I hope this worked a little better, but I will check later. Thanks very much. Have a beautiful evening, and I'll see you soon.